Greetings, everyone. I think this is going to be the final part in addressing, the saga as far as Alicia Kim's divorce and her pregnancy. Unless you have a question that I didn't address in the last two videos. In this one, and guys, I chose to use this backdrop. I started doing my makeup, and this is the early part of it. Okay, it's unfinished. And I'm using it as my backdrop because with Alicia Kim's story, there's a lot of unfinished parts. Okay. And as there is unhealed parts of herself, we must know that this situation with her has two persons who no doubt would feel a sense of loss or betrayal. Again, I try to stay in the middle as far as both persons are, concerned, like Boo, for example, and her, because, we have to still be careful, even though the stuff that was shown to you about Boo will make you angry with him. But at the end of the day, these two persons were married, and she happily states that she gave him 7 years of her life or thereabout. And that must count for something. And we're not going to forget the cruises. We're not going to forget when you look at that one when they were on the ship and she's in her big hat and they took that photo. Oh, it's the story that fairy tale is made of. So we can't discount that. We can't use the pigeon coop or the you know bed and the soap and the oil being taken, because that is just a part of the story. When the heights of greatness was reached, we celebrated that. And so we can't just use the negative parts. Anyway, as I said, it's unfinished, and I can show you the part that starts to look pretty and ignore the part that's not working out so well. We have to share. If we are going to share, we have to share the good and the bad. Okay? Of course, you have to keep some things personal. And legally, there are things that neither one of them might be able to disclose. But in this video, I want to talk about, because the pregnancy is that elephant in the room. A lot of persons are saying, oh my gosh, like you said you were doing your solo thing, you're doing your meditation, you're doing your journaling. And somewhere in between, people felt that meant you're alone. But you have to understand, not everybody can be alone for a long time. There are a lot of persons, you'll hear them say, I was single for 6 months, and they're really celebrating that. And maybe for these individuals, being alone for that period of time, it's like difficult. I had 6 years. When I say 6 years, I mean not even one date. And there were times when it felt like it wasn't even long enough. And for the next 4 years after that, when I decided to go in the dating pool, and I'm going to discuss that in another video, what it's like to be dating in this time. And so anyone who feels like jumping out of a marriage, a bad marriage, and that it's going to get better and easier, let me tell you, I feel sorry for the young people. Because first of all, a lot of these young men are not about family. They're about themselves, and women too. Very much not about building together with individuals. A lot of it is very selfish. A lot of what people are calling love, it has nothing to do with love. I like you. A spirit take you. You can do this for me. The moment you cannot, they cut, them run, them gone. The moment things don't look shiny and brand new and beneficial. This is why you find men nowadays, and I'm going to get back to the story of Alicia. Men nowadays moving in with women. It's, who remembers the time When a guy invites a girl over to his house for the weekend or she's spending the week with him, oh my gosh, she feels so great. It means that the relationship is getting more serious. And so when he gives her a key or he gives her open invitation, every time she visits his house, she leaves something: a hairbrush, slippers, some female thing, sort of marking her territory. But now the reverse is true. It is men. And they've been doing that for a long time, to be honest with you. Because in Canada, for example, or in Toronto in particular, where I lived, I remember a lot of guys used to love to date single women or um, single mothers. And they would try to live with these women because they lived in metro housing. So the housing would be subsidized. They would get their subsidized daycares, and some of these women work as well, and they would get their baby bonus. So you would have some deadbeat men who would prey on these type of women because one, they see them as vulnerable because they're single parents, and some of these women, they're busy with either school or work or just taking care of their children. So it was more convenient for the man to come and visit them instead of you going to the guy's house to visit him. A lot of single women make this mistake because while they're dating, they don't realize that it's best that you take the guy outside of your household until you figure out if it's going to work out. To introduce your children to men that you're dating is not a good idea, when you don't know if you're going to end up settling with this person. Anyway, but back then, these men would be the ones to come over and they would leave a slipper or they'll leave a shirt or they would ask the lady to do some laundry for them and keep the clothes there. Now, when I look in Jamaica, some of these men are big and buttless bad. They're moving in with ladies. They prey on independent women. So as women are, changing the landscape and having more, dominance financially, some men have gotten weaker and are comfortable with women taking care of them. No, okay, that's not really what we should be talking about in this video. But I'm going to go back to Kim's situation with the pregnancy, that people kind of, torn one way or the other because she gave the impression that she was doing the solo dolo. And somehow people don't understand that, as I said before, she tells a story and she tells a story based on how beneficial it is to her and whatever it is she's trying to share. When Alicia came out, I think it was in December, and talked about, and I did a video on that, talked about her wondering if it was ever going to happen for her to be a mom. What a lot of persons didn't realize, and that's why I did the video that way, to say you are going to have a baby. It's going to have happen very soon, and you don't have to worry about the age, because guess what? She was trying. She was trying to conceive. That was a genuine, true video where she was trying and it didn't happen right away. So she was really feeling angst because it wasn't happening and she was trying. No one comes and says, I want to have a baby. Am I going to have a baby next year? My time is running out. Why would you say that unless you're already doing the do, right? So because she didn't come out, and a lot of persons wouldn't say I'm trying because of the situation that she was in. She was still married, or at least going through the process of divorce. And so that's what confuses the people. Um, People who are trying to conceive often talk about it that way. They're not coming out to say I'm trying and it didn't happen. They make it seem like it's something they plan to do in the future. There's a lot of stuff that Kim says um, to make it seem like when she wants to introduce you to the next level or the next thing that she's going to do, she make it seem like she's just thinking about it, but she's already doing it. She's lining it up. She's setting it up for you, so that when it happens, it's like, okay, you'll accept it. Girl is smart. Girl is very smart, but sometimes even when you're smart and you have a certain pattern of delivery, eventually people figure it out and they get tired of it. So I think this YouTube thing is a dance, and people get bored. You have to learn different types of dance. And so as you're delivering your story, you have to always be one foot ahead or one step ahead. I taught a grade 10 class, and they were the most difficult students for me, because guess what? They challenged me in preparing for my lessons and delivering my lessons, because they all had some learning disability, and most of them couldn't read. And so for me to keep them engaged, I had to use different strategies. Sometimes I have to do a debate in class. Sometimes I had to do art. Sometimes I had to figure different ways to engage them, or they would get bored. Someone asked this question, and I'm going to address it here. The person said, what are the odds of Alicia having her camera ready for when she was delivered the divorce decree? And my answer to that is that she would have spoken to the person before. She knew he was coming to deliver it. So she had her camera ready. It's not a situation where, oh, well, it's just a situation where it's a coincidence or anything like that. Nothing for Kim is coincidental. She knew the person was coming to deliver. Whether the person came to the door and she asked him to go, give her a chance to go get her camera and come back and record the whole thing because she's a vlogger, or she might have spoken to the person on the phone to make sure that she's home before they come, and so she would have prepared because she was on the phone talking to her mom. You don't get to be on the phone talking to your mom, then someone shows up at the door, and then you have your camera ready. That is impossible. The odds of that happening is slim to none. So everything was all planned, and as per usual, she plans her story, and the delivery of that story, and one has to be very patient to be able to hold the facts or the information until the right time. There's a lot more about Kim that you don't know and you'll never know. So stop trying to figure her out, and this is very obvious, okay? Because there's so many more things to drop, so many more things, holes to fill, and that's what makes her interesting, make you want to always watch her. I am at least speaking for myself. Sometimes I don't get the time, guys, because I'm very busy. But when I do go back to follow up, I find her very interesting. Her methodology of doing things and her storyline. Some of it is interesting, to be honest. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. This should have been a live, but guys, my days are very long. When I say I'm busy, to people that I know, they probably say to themselves, how busy can you be? But it's that crazy. I finish work at 5, and oftentimes I'm doing some part-time study, or I'm going to some type of workshop. And on Saturdays, it's the same. On Sundays, getting ready for the next week. And sometimes I got to do business on Sunday. So forgive me. Hopefully I'll find more time soon. But I hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all feeling blessed. Thank you so much for watching. Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me. It's my favorite part. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share. Stay blessed, everyone.